Hi, let me go live over here. We are officially live. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to Friday Love Lives with your host, Selina Almodovar, Christian relationship coach and author. And it's going to be a good Friday, right? I feel like it's going to be a really good weekend. I don't know where you're at today, whether it's sunny or cloudy like where I am. Regardless of that, I think we're all going to have a really good day, right? We're going to be blessed and we're here. And let me go ahead and introduce what this is for people who are just kind of chiming in. It's actually very, very new. So, if you haven't caught last week's episode, let me go ahead and rephrase that. So, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, if you guys are just finding me out, my name is Selina Almodovar. I'm a Christian relationship author and coach. And what I do is I like to bring faith to women of faith and show them how they can use their faith to build the relationships that they've been praying for and they've always dreamed of. And so, every single Friday, I want to kind of get live with you, connect with you guys to kind of talk about the things that other people are talking about in the rest of the world. You know, we're praying for all of the serious things, but of course, there's some relationship stories that always pop off on my feed, whether it's in Facebook or Twitter or wherever. And it always makes me think like, man, if I could just put a twist to this story based on my Christian relationship values and beliefs, and not only do that, but not only share my opinion, but also talk to you guys about how you can learn from the experiences of what these people are going through, what these headlines are talking about, maybe take something away so that it could help benefit you in your personal love life as a woman of faith as well. So if you missed my kind of introduction first video ever on this series, then obviously, like everybody else, I was talking about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, and the question that I posed in the previous episode was, did Will honor his wife? And so we had a very big discussion about that, about honoring. What does it mean to honor your spouse in your marriage? What are the actions? What was right? What was wrong? What you can do as a Christian, looking at their situation. Obviously, the media does not want this story to go away because people continue to talk about it all the time. And now, you got a bunch of stuff coming in. It's starting to get very messy. So we're not going to get into that today. We got into that last week. If you want to catch my opinions and what I talked about there, then be sure to catch that in the last episode. Let me go ahead and put here, do not disturb. Okay. So that people don't catch me while I'm trying to go live on Instagram. Okay. There we go. I'm back, Instagram. So, what I want to talk to you guys today is about a different story, about a different couple that is also making headline news. Not necessarily them themselves, but what somebody said about them. Now, isn't that something that's always happening? Like, you could just be living your life, minding your business, living your best life, minding your best business. And then somebody always has something to say about it. And of course, people also have opinions. So, why don't we go ahead and tackle that news? And excuse the hair, it's kind of everywhere. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the power couple. Let's call them what they really are. Let's talk about the power couple of Russell Wilson and Ciara. So, for those of you guys who are not familiar with who these people are, Russell Wilson is a quarterback for the NFL, a professional football player. He's been around for quite some time, and he recently got traded to the Denver Broncos. So he is living his best life out in Denver. Ciara is a superstar. She is a singer. She's a dancer, and she was really hot in the 2000s, in the early 2000s. I would say, she's been making lots of music ever since. Mainly R&B, kind of popish, kind of hip hopish, kind of dancer. And the two met and they got married in 2016. So they have been an established couple. What people like about Russell Wilson and Ciara is the fact that Russell Wilson is a Christian, and he is a Christian, and we're all rooting for him. But not only that, but these are one of the couple in mainstream media who really just shared their story about being pure, about waiting, about honoring God in their relationship, and about honoring God in their marriage. And so Russell Wilson does not hide this. He is quoting scriptures all the time on Twitter, and he is just a man's man. So together from their marriage, they have two children, in addition to the child that Ciara previously had with her previous partner, Future, who was a rapper. And they're living their life, right? Minding their business, living their life. Isn't that what we always want? As a Christian woman who is out there, you've gone through some things, you've went through some ups and downs, and you've come to realize that, hey, I actually want stability. I want peace. I want a foundation. I want to just live a life where I can settle down with a man who is strong enough in his values and in and of himself, who is, providing for the family, who can establish a family of our own, set our foundation, our roots, grow a legacy. Like, who doesn't want that, right? Here is the kicker. Here is why they're making headlines today and in this past week. It is because on a podcast here, now I'm not an avid fan of this podcast. I need to go and listen to it, as a matter of fact, but it's called the Pivots Podcast. You can go ahead and check it out, and I'll put it in the description. There was a former linebacker on there. His name was Channing Crowder. Now, because I am not familiar with the podcast, I don't know if he is a regular host of the podcast, or I don't know if he was just a special guest of the podcast. But nevertheless, Mr. Crowder, Channing Crowder, he went ahead and he somehow they got onto the topic of Russell Wilson bagging Ciara, getting Ciara, marrying Ciara. And let me just go ahead and say Ciara is a 10. Okay. She is beautiful. She is kind. She has kind heart, kind spirit. So she is a very good catch. And there's a lot of guys out there who are questioning like how, like, and even in not just in this podcast, but in all their podcasts as well. I think Kevin Hart's podcast, all of these other podcasts, they are questioning like, how did Russell Wilson get Ciara? How did a good person like him get Ciara? Like, they just feel like Ciara is out of his league. Okay. Never mind the fact that he's a quarterback. Never mind the fact that, he is a good looking man. Never mind the fact that he is a Christian and he has high values. They just, for some reason, they just can't comprehend. They can't understand why a woman like Ciara will pick a man like Russell Wilson. And so this man, Channing Crowder, he basically said, I want to get the quote right. He said, Russell is a square. We're going to talk about what a square means in a minute. He said Russell is a square and that Ciara is only with him because he has money. And he also said, quote unquote, you're not going to leave Future and get with Russell Wilson. All right. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want us to have this conversation. And if you have any comments, be sure to put the comments in there. Let's have a conversation. Let's ask questions. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions as well. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about number one, what is a square, right? For those of you guys who don't know. Number two, why would somebody like Channing say that? And number three, why would women want that? Because when we heard that on Twitter said, please let me have a square. I saw so many comments talking about like, please, 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 I would love to have a square. Like, get me a square, find me a square, like, let's talk about that. And then also, let's bring this back to home. Like, let's make this personal to you. What can you learn from this and what can you grow from this? And how can you apply this to your relationship moving forward, to your single life moving forward, when you're searching for your man? Like, what should you be looking for? Let's get into all that right now. So first of all, let me go ahead and say, what is a square? What is a square? To some people who are out there looking at these good guys, they would picture themselves as a square. Well, when you think of, that's great. Hear my son in the background. Special guest appearance might come because we never know when it comes with kids. When you think about the definition of what a square is, you think of somebody who is just very average, who's very normal, somebody who's almost, you could kind of almost tell them and ask them and say that they're boring. To some people, they would describe them as being that. You would describe them as being somebody who's just not oomph, who's not cool enough. Okay, so these are all of the, and they see this as a negative. They say like, oh, nobody wants to be a square, because who would want the square? The women would not find that attractive. That's too boring. You're not gonna impress them. You're not gonna just help them live, an exciting life. And so a lot of guys are trying to scratch their heads, because I guess from the context of it, they're seeing Russell Wilson as being this boring, very average individual, and they're comparing him. Okay, this is going to be a huge lesson. This is going to be a huge gem of today's episode. They're comparing him to Future, who is a rapper, who is gutsy, who's daring, who's, provocative, puts himself out there, gangster, if you will. And they're comparing the two, and they can say, how can you go from this gangster image to all of a sudden this super clean image, and it be for the right reasons, it be for the impression that this is a serious and genuine connection. Like, it's almost as if people are saying, they're looking at your past and they're saying, well, you were attracted to this, so therefore if you're not attracted to that in the future, then you're not real. And let me just go ahead and say that when you've been through some stuff, especially some like negative stuff, especially some things that cause you to have some trauma, or has caused you to grow some baggage in your life, that has required you to heal through a process, or overcome some things, or get over, some things in your life to remove that baggage, you're not going to want to go back to that place. Okay, you're not going to want to pick the same type, because you've already been through something, and you don't want to experience that something again. You know what I'm saying? And so for Ciara to automatically make this whole 360-degree switch in the type of person that she is now attracted to, first of all, let me just go ahead and say, you have permission to change your mind as to what excites and attracts you and what doesn't. Okay. Just because you had a specific type back in the day, because you were a different person, you were a different woman back in the day, does not mean that you have to continue to seek out that type moving forward, as you evolve and as you grow and as you mature to a woman that you are striving to become. So for Ciara to be in this past lifestyle where she was in this mindset, in this environment, she had this man, they split, things happen, it is what it is. And then for her to move on to a situation that is going to challenge her spiritually and mentally and possibly emotionally as well, because obviously she ended up in marriage. She's allowed to do that. She's in her right mind to do that. And if you're a woman out there, you're single or you're dating, and you're currently watching this live, or you're watching the replay, then I'm giving you permission. I don't have to do it, but I'm going to remind you that you have the permission to change what you are going after, based off of your experiences and based off of your evolution of who you are striving to become as a woman. Okay. Not everybody wants to be in that um in that lifestyle anymore. Not anybody wants to be in that high pace, fast paced kind of lifestyle. And I think a lot of people are scratching their heads, because they're saying that to change your mind and to change your opinions and your thoughts of what you seek in a partner, all of a sudden you're not being genuine enough, because that's not who you are. Well, how do you know who this person is in the first place? You know what I mean? Everybody changes. Everybody has different experiences that causes them to make different choices moving forward. I will tell you right now, from my personal experience, I used to date a very different type of person than who my husband now is. Okay. Now, that type of person used to drink, used to club, used to hang out. They were just different in many different ways. And the reason why I chose my husband is because I saw that he didn't have all that baggage with him. There was no drama with him. He was a very structured, mature male who wasn't afraid to talk, who wasn't afraid to bring up hard conversations. He would always face the conflict head on. And that was something I never experienced in a past relationship. He was not afraid to talk about his feelings or his spiritual walk or his faith. And that was definitely something that I was not used to in my past relationships. You know, a lot of people think that they want a bad boy image and they want a bad boy because it's going to excite them. It's going to make them feel some kind of way. Therefore, the passion is going to be different. Therefore, the love's going to be different. Therefore, why wouldn't you want that moving forward? Here is the truth and here's the reality of that situation. The reason why women choose bad boy types, the reason why women choose these guys who are not quote unquote square material, square type guys is because they like that rush of what they feel when they're in that moment. And they feel that if they're going to choose a safer person to be with, they will never experience that rush or that passion in that relationship. So therefore they choose to have another relationship that might be a little more dramatic, all for the sake of, well, it's passionate and I want that passion. And so therefore I'm going to keep holding on to that passion. That's why women date these bad guys. But at the end of the day, what exactly is passion to you when you're 80 years old? Like, is it running through the streets? Is it, going to clubs every single night? Or is it, having a legacy? Is it having, a retirement plan? Is it going on vacation with the love of your life? Is it laughing and growing old with somebody? Like your passions will change over time. And if you're going to constantly look at the passion as something that's going, it's almost like your attraction with appearance. Like the passion's going to fade with that lifestyle. You're not going to be able to maintain that lifestyle long term. So you want to pick somebody who is stable for you. You want to pick somebody who has your best interest at heart, not just in this season, but in for many seasons to come. And that's what I think Russell Wilson produces. He produces a man who is stability, who is long-term longevity, who is legacy. And those are things that are extremely attracted to a woman who is ready to settle, who is tired of playing games, who is tired of going to the club to find fun and attraction to her partner. I'm sorry, my phone keeps sliding and it's bothering me. And she's looking for something that's different, and there's a lot of women out there maybe in their early 20s that are like, yeah, I'm trying to have fun, I'm trying to see where this goes. But as you continue to age and as you continue to realize that you're still single, honey, your future endeavors and your future desires and what you want is definitely going to be changing. And with that, you're going to have to change the type that you're looking for. You're going to be more attracted to the square because that is a safe bet, not only because um you aren't daring, you guys aren't doing dairy things. I mean, he's a freaking quarterback for Pete's sake, and he's a very good looking man for Pete's sake. Like, I'm pretty sure he knows how to handle his wife. I'm pretty sure he knows how to handle going on a date. I mean, he got her right. So clearly there are some things there that excite her and that bring her to a place of passion, right? That would allow them to evolve their relationship into a marriage. But there's some guys that don't really see that, whether that's because they've experienced traumatic all their lives, whether that's something that they've experienced in bad relationships and they're just like, that's just the way that it is. Whatever the case may be, people just see that safe stability as not being something to pursue because it's boring. You'll never be happy. You'll never have the time of your life in that kind of setting. So we talked about what a square is. We talked about why women would want that. I, for one, definitely wanted that when I was ready to sit down and say, you know what, I'm tired of dating. I'm not getting any younger. And I don't want to date a guy who's going to play games anymore. I don't want to date a person who is going to beat around the bush as to whether or not we can take our relationship to the next level. I don't want to date someone who cannot financially provide for me, or at least is thinking about a plan of how to financially provide for me. Not to say that I can't make my own money. Let's be very clear on this. Ciara has her own money. She doesn't need a man to provide for her. She is well off. Like, she's good. She's good. Her talents brought her to where she wants to be financially. I highly doubt she married this man for his money. And to kind of further proof that truth, when they first met, um, there's the story of how Russell Wilson got Ciara to go on a date with him. It is because of his wallet. He had a very beat up wallet. It was a very just raggedy looking wallet. And Ciara said, you're losing with that. So she already recognized. First of all, he wasn't trying to show off his money. He wasn't trying to show off that, oh, I got all of this and this is why I want you and this is why you should be with me, right? He was just being himself, trying to attract a woman that he was attracted to, right? And Ciara was like, well, you're losing with that. In other words, that's not helping your situation. That's not helping you get me this right here, right? And people could take that out of context. People could be like, oh, she's a gold digger. She could gold digger. But if you guys are flirting, I know when I was flirting with my husband, like I would just rag on little things like, oh, what's up with that shirt? Like, oh my God, or he would say something to me like, it's just common flirting, I think is what it is. And so they're flirting, and something that Russell Wilson said to her that really like ultimately won her heart is, number one, with me, you never lose. So he was already confident, right? Just because you're deemed a square doesn't make you confident. And honey, let me tell you, confidence, if a man is not arrogant, but if a man is confident, that is very attractive. It don't matter what the situation is. Confidence is very attractive. So with me, you'll never lose. That's the first thing he said. Number two, he said, this wallet shows consistency. Okay. This wallet shows consistency, and that's what you're going to get if you're with me. Okay. Now, consistency, again, one of the main things that women need in a relationship is security. They want to know through and through and through that you're going to take care of situations, that you're going to take care of the relationship, that you are going to put her in a place where she doesn't have to stress or worry. They want to feel secure no matter what. Every woman in a relationship, doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, you want to feel secured. You want to know that things are being handled, and you want to know that your man is the one who's handling it. So for Russell Wilson to say, number one, I'm confident. Number two, I'm going to make you secure. Okay. He's saying all the right things to get the right girl, right? So his attitude, his belief, his persona, his confidence, those are the things that attracted Ciara in the first place. Okay. And then the third thing that he said during this conversation when they were meeting to find out whether or not they were going to pursue dating, he said, what's in the wallet is real. What's in the wallet is real. So not only did he state that he was going to have things very secure for her moving forward if she were to choose him, but he also backed it up with saying what's in the wallet is real. The finances are real. The credit is real. Everything that thing holds, no matter how raggedy it is real. Whether it's a good wallet or not, what's in it is what you need to be focused on, is what I can provide for you. So I think the way his approach was, you know, just being himself, not flaunting, not flexing, and then expressing himself through confidence, sharing his security and what he thinks he could bring to her. That's another thing with these guys, is like, just because you're a bad guy, just because you're a bad boy type, doesn't mean that you are showing that you could take care of a relationship or a woman, or you can handle a relationship or a woman. And like I said, women want security. So if you're not talking, if you're not speaking the language of like, you just want to be here for the long term, or you want to grow something with me, then what we're going to equate that as, if you're not saying it, then we're going to equate it as, oh, you just want to get in my bed. Oh, you just want to have a good time. Oh, you're just here to have fun. You don't really care about me. You don't really care about my future, but I'm sitting here wanting that, and you're not saying it. So the bad boy image can only go so far, right? The bad boy image can only go so far. um here's a really good thing that I want to bring up, is that sometimes women will not want that. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about how women like and are attracted to bad boys. I talked about why they pursue bad boys, right? And why they would choose, if there was a lineup and there was a quote unquote square individual and there's a bad boy individual, 9 times out of 10, their first attraction is going to go and lean towards the bad boy. Why is that? It's because there is a passion there, an instant gratifying passion there that they is daring, and it's a risk-taking thing. It's like a roller coaster ride. You know, a bad boy is going up the hill and then going down that hill super fast. It's a rush of just this thrill. You know what I mean? And so that's why women are tend to draw towards those individuals more often. And so why would a woman not want a square like Russell Williams? Or I keep saying Williams. Why would a woman want a square like Russell Wilson? Because he's a quarterback, because he's got his situation handled, because his faith is there, because his foundation is straight, because it doesn't seem like he's carrying baggage or drama. Like, why would you not want that? First of all, it's because you're drawn to the bad boy, right? You're instantly drawn to the bad boy over the other one. The other reason why, and this is a very deep reason, and I want you to take this into consideration because maybe this is where you're at right now as a single woman or as a woman who's dating, and you're trying to figure out, like, I want to have the man like Russell Wilson, and I'm just not attracted to a man like Russell Wilson, and I don't understand why. I'm going to share with you why right here, right now. It is because you have to consider what you've gone through in the past, right? Maybe you never dated a person like Russell Wilson. Maybe you never dated a Christian guy before who was really serious about his faith, who was really serious about his commitment with you if he were to pursue you, who was really just putting it all out there like, you can have all this. I could give you all this. I long to give you all this because I'm attracted to you and I see you as wifey material, and this is what I would do if you were my wife, right? What ends up happening is that you never had that before in your life, right? And because you never had that in your life, you are now conditioned to seek comfort in the trauma. Okay? You're now conditioned to feel comfortable with drama. Okay? So, like, if you guys never fight, it feels weird, right? Or if you guys never got into an argument, it's like, nah, something's off. Or nah, any minute now, something's gonna happen. Or you start to lose trust because you're like, I don't trust you because this is just not normal, right? That's what you would say. This is not normal. The fact that you're so at peace is not normal to me. And so therefore it's putting me on guard, it's putting me on edge, and it makes me uncomfortable. And because I'm uncomfortable, I think something's wrong with this relationship. Okay? There are too many women out there who have been so conditioned to feel comfortable in traumatic relationships and in toxic relationships that they don't know what to do with themselves, and they don't know how to process themselves whenever a good square guy comes around. And so therefore they get scared, they don't want to address it, they don't know how to address it, and so therefore they choose what's comfortable, the bad guy. They choose what's comfortable, the guy who's going to cause problems, because they've been there and they know how to hand quote unquote, they know how to handle those situations because they know what it's like to be in fights, and because they see that as being normal in a relationship rather than to pursue something so completely different where none of that exists. Okay. That is why women will pursue that. So let's take another couple. Okay. And maybe if you guys want me to talk a little bit more and elaborate more on this relationship next week, let me know below in the comments. But another couple we can draw from is Megan Good and Devin Franklin. Okay. So Megan Good is an actress. She's been a teenage actress. She was a child actress. She was on My Cousin Skeeter and all of these things from beyond from there, a bunch of rom-coms. You could look her up. She now has her latest project was a Prime Video TV series. I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of like Sex in the City for Black women, and it was a rom-com type of show. So she's doing that. And Devin Franklin is a Hollywood producer who is also a pastor. He's a Christian. They got married a long time ago. Matter of fact, they wrote a book called The Wait. And The Wait is all about expressing why it is healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually to wait until you know things are certain. So in their reference, they stayed pure until marriage, right? And this was the book, but they said, waiting for other things is also healthy in other forms. And so they turned this into a book. They were married, I believe, for about 9 years. I'll fact check it, but they were married for a very long time. They never had any children. I don't know what the deal is with that. That's not my business, but it is what it is. They never had any children. And recently they decided to get a divorce. Okay. Very sad. Very sad. It's very sad when you see power couples who say they did it the right way and who show in their steps that they've done it the right way, and then to see them fall apart because of the media, because of people, because of critiquing, for whatever reason, because of strain. The enemy is definitely always out there on the prowl, always trying to destroy families and marriages, and it's really sad when it happens, right? So Megan Good and Devin Franklin, they recently broke up. I would say within a year. They recently got this divorce, and now you see Megan Good not going after the quote unquote squares, right? She's not going after that. She as a matter of fact, they found her. They took pictures of her sitting close to a rapper. I think his name is. Oh, I can't remember the name of this rapper guy. But anyways, she's sitting with a rapper. He looks like a bad boy, right? There's now rumors about them dating, getting heavily involved into a relationship. And a lot of people are heartbroken because they're like, oh, you dated a pastor and now you're going from this type of guy to now you're going to this bad boy type of guy, all in a matter of a year and into a season. Like, what happened? So now she's getting dragged through the mud because they're like, well, she was never wifey material for Devin. Um she never appreciated Devin in the first place, and all this thing, all this stuff. This is an example of a woman who went from a square to a bad boy. All right. So Ciara was the one who went from a bad boy to a square. Megan Good went from a square to a bad boy. Why would this be? Why would this happen? A lot of people are speculating that Megan Good just simply didn't have the type of personality that meshed with that square kind of guy in the first place. A lot of people say that the church drove her away. And I could believe that because there are so many people, Christian women out there, who are constantly condemning other women, other relationships on what they should and should not do. A lot of single women telling married women what they should and should not do according to the Bible. A lot of women and pastors and all of these people are critiquing how she dressed and how she acted. And, oh, you don't act like a pastor's wife and all of this stuff. The church is what drove her away, and perhaps she is so offended by this that she decided to go back to some old ways. She decided to go back to some old thrills, right? And she pursued the bad guy. We don't know what this is. Again, this is very early information. And so if you guys want me to keep tabs on it and comment it on a later Friday live, I will do so. But you got to let me know in the comments. So this is something that can happen. A lot of people feel like when you're dating a square, right? A square. I keep putting the word square because I don't believe any of these men are squares in the first place. But a lot of people are out there and they're saying, oh, in order for me to date someone like that, I would have to become the perfect role model of what a woman should be, of what a square woman should be. And the pressure of having that perfection kind of expectation hanging over my head, that's just too much. It's too much pressure. I don't want to do it. I just want to be me. I just want to make mistakes. Sometimes I get a little loose. I don't want nobody to judge me when I get loose. And that's just where I am. So that's why women would go in the opposite direction, right? Because they think that in order to date a square, in order to be with a square, married to a square, you have to become a square yourself. And a lot of women feel the pressure of like, I can't be perfect. I can't be a Proverbs 31 wife. I can't handle that. All right. So personally speaking, let me just go ahead and say, I'm married to a man who is very stable. I don't believe he is a square because I think my husband is very cool, but there would be an expectation of, because he was a Christian and because we dated from the church and because we did things a certain way that honored God, a lot of people would speculate like, "Oh, they must be perfect." Or, "Oh, she completely changed her ways and now she's a perfect person." Or, "Oh, she thinks she's perfect," right? Because a lot of people know who I was before I married, right? And a lot of people knew that I used to go to the club and I used to drink and I used to cuss and I used to smoke and I used to do all these things. So, "Oh, she must now think she's perfect. She's too good for everybody," right? And a lot of people feel like if you're going to date this square person or you're going to have this kind of square relationship, you're going to basically, if you're going to go to a relationship that's honoring God, that keeps you on your P's and Q's and keeps you mindful of people and extend grace, and you're trying to remain pure, in mind, body, and spirit, right? A lot of people think that, "Oh, you're fake and you're phony, and who are you to live this kind of life," right? That's what a lot of people think. And I just want to tell you, from my opinion and from my advice to you, if you're going through this, if you're experiencing this, is nobody out here should ever deem themselves as trying to be perfect, right? We are seeking the perfect God, the perfect Christ, who can help us, make better choices, who can help us extend grace to ourselves whenever we mess up, and who can guide us on how to be people who choose unconditional love versus judgment, right? People who choose peace over drama and pain, right? People who are choosing a different, more polished person to follow versus what the media is telling us to follow, who would lead us down a path of depression and anxiety and darkness and all of these other poor choices, right? So I think I don't think Russell Wilson is a square. I don't think Ciara is fake. I think Mr. Channing Crawford is trying to figure out why someone's personality would have such a deep effect on a woman who went from one end of the spectrum to another. And honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, if you really want to look at it from a lens, I think it's God. I think God has really affected the hearts of people. He has not only maintained the heart of Russell Wilson and being a good guy, all around good guy, where he's just minding his business, taking care of his family and taking care of his professional career. I think God has the power to change the heart of Ciara, where she once was one way, where she thought she wanted to go in one direction. And instead, he showed her, after her trusting in God, God showed her, like, this is what you could have. And this is the life you could live if you continue to trust me and you continue to let me guide you to this particular man, right? I think God, I'm not going to say where God is in the life of Megan Good and in the life of Devin Franklin, because clearly nobody knows that. But I will say that there is some things going on where Megan Good is working out her spiritual relationship with God based on her experiences, based on what God's people have done to her and the kind of treatment that they have shown her, and that happens. That is a real thing. A lot of people, they start off as Christian relationships, they start off in these square relationships, and then people judge them and they let those people get the best of them versus taking it back to God and trusting in God and sticking with God and using God as the light and the focal point in all things. Russell Wilson, the reason why everything is rolling off his back is because he is so secure and grounded in what the truth of God is for him and over his life and over his marriage. And so he doesn't have to worry or wonder. He doesn't have to feel any kind of threat or feel any kind of tension. He doesn't have to take the pressures of people like Channing Crawford, because he knows where he stands and he knows whose he is. Okay. And so moving forward, how does this help you? How does this address you when you're trying to pick the right person? How does this help you when you are in a relationship and you're trying to change from this bad boy lifestyle to this square kind of mentality and lifestyle? How does this help you moving forward? And let's go ahead and wrap this up. Here's what I believe. Okay. What I believe is that if you are in a situation where you're tired of dating, where you're tired of running into the same guys, if you're tired and frustrated of meeting people who only want to get into your pants, because in this 2022 modern dating age, that's basically it. They're saying we can't have a relationship without sex, or we have to move in together and do all these things in order for me to see that you're a wifey material, and you don't want to get into that. You don't want to do that. You don't feel right about that, whatever the case may be. If this is you and you're feeling frustrated, then just know, based off of Ciara, take her steps, walk in her footsteps, and know that you have the permission to change your mind and to go for something different. You don't always have to pick your type. And let this also be a reminder that sometimes what God has in store for you might be completely different than what you're used to getting, than what you're used to dating. So for a lot of people, who are setting up their dating online profiles and they're picking like, oh, I prefer to have a man who's like this and I want a man like this. For all of you guys who are having your prayer lists of who you want in a husband, and you're like, I want him to be like this God, I want him to be like that God. Just know that God knows your heart, and he might pull somebody who is completely out of left field, who's going to be so different than what you're used to, so different from the type that you're used to dating, that it might catch you off guard, and it might make you scared, because again, like that whole being conditioned to be okay in trauma, you might feel like this is not what I'm used to and it's uncomfortable. God might put you in an uncomfortable situation in order to get you to a place that's going to be so much more peaceful and so much more fulfilling than what it originally could have been had you would have stuck with the same type and in your own mind and in your own power. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to pursue that. Don't be afraid to continue to trust in God. If there is a man who is a square, then ask yourself and be honest with yourself. What does a square look like to you? And are you attracted to that in the long run? Okay. I know a lot of women come first date. You're looking to be impressed. You're looking to be wooed. You're looking to be wowed. You're looking for a guy who's like top 10, right? 10 A1, that's the type of guy, and then you'll pursue the relationship. But you're not always going to get that at your first date, right? So what do we want to do? Let's take some lessons from Russell Wilson himself, okay? It's not always about the flex, it's not always about the clout, and it's not even always about the money. Sometimes it's about the confidence, and sometimes it's about the stability, and sometimes it's about the man who is willing to be open and transparent about what he can have for you should you pursue him in the relationship. Remember, when Russell Wilson first married, or when he first met Ciara and they were dating and they were talking, not even in the dating stage, he was very clear. I'm consistent. This wallet, what's in this wallet is real. And with me, you'll never lose. So if you meet a man who is that confident and is that secure in himself and is that willing to be open and transparent with what he can offer you and the relationship, that is worth having a second date with. That is worth considering whether or not he could be potential husband. That is worth saying, maybe this person who is not so thrilling and flashy at first glance is actually way more passionate and way more thrilling and way more worthwhile of my time and attention and my heart than all of these other guys who are nothing but talk. And I'm going to leave that at that. All right. I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this Friday Love Live when we talked about Russell Wilson and Ciara. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Would you be willing to marry a square? Do you think that Russell Wilson is a square? Should we completely remove the term square from the dictionary of relationships and love lives as we know it and just move forward in calling these men of God who are stable, who are secure, who are confident in who they are, whose they are, and what they want? Okay. So let me know in the comments what you think about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're catching the replay, then be sure to check out some extra links and put your comments below. I'll be sure to catch them in the time that you are watching this. If you are here on YouTube, then be sure to subscribe to my channel. That way you can keep getting the updates of the Friday Love Lives as they come. If you guys have a topic that you want me to talk about, maybe there's a headline that I missed and you're like, hey, talk about this couple, talk about this person, talk about this marriage or whatever, be sure to let me know and I will include it in the upcoming Friday Love Lives. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. Remember, it's Friday, it's the weekend. Let's turn up. Let's have a great time. Remember that God has got you. He's providing for you. He's going to bless you. He's going to fulfill for you. And he is going to cover you because he longs to do so in the end. So thank you guys so much for watching and tune in again next week. I'll catch you later. Bye.